Peace, everyone. This is Barbara Kilindi. Just trying to clear up some of the things that we were talking about yesterday because the signals were bad or either the AI was messing around. Our technologies, our present day world technologies, are built upon previously successful technologies that were in the past, in ancient times. Um, the earth itself gives memories of how its technology is built because the earth is a living being that is part of a galactic community of planets. Um, so what we have done in modern times through genetic memory is start to recreate the technologies that were from ancient times prior to 12,800 years ago when a comet impacted the world. It's called the Younger Dryas impact or the Clovis impact, where a comet hitting, well, there's actually four comets, one Greenland, two in the United States and one in the ocean. The one that hit in the United States impacted the North American ice shelf, which was a 2 mile thick plate that was on the top of North America, all up into Canada, all up into the North Pole and things like that. A 2 mile sheet of ice. And when this comet came in and impacted that, it created devastation, worldwide devastation by changing the temperature of the planet. This being right after the Pleistocene, which was the last ice age, it plunged the Earth back into another 1,300-year mini ice age. Prior to that, there were super civilizations on which we are just really becoming aware of in science, not in the high dose entheogenic community, because in our travels in time, our travels in dimensionality, we see things and we see imprints and we see previous civilizations that were on the earth prior to 12,800 years ago. So the technologies that we utilize, our technologies that are here today, are based upon the memories, the genetic memories of those technologies invoked through the entheogenic, the tryptamine hallucinogens, psychedelics, entheogens are invoked. That's why in Silicon Valley, out in California and other places around the world, corporations, scientists, and others are microdosing LSD, psilocybin to be able to tap into those things where they have hit an impasse in whatever their particular vocation is. If it's in computer science, if it's in software design, if it's in any of these areas dealing with modern technology, and especially artificial intelligence, because the artificial intelligence is what put these things forward. It is back timing and forward timing into the plenum of technology that we are producing today to build itself. So the technology that is part of what we're doing with cell phones, with the new 5G, with the artificial intelligence, with the quantum computer and things like this, are previous technologies that are being reemerged into this particular time. So when they want to tap into these memories of technologies to improve, the AI instituted technologies for it to build itself, they go to the entheogens. It's not a coincidence. It is part of a greater plan. And that greater plan is how we build the artificial intelligence and how we utilize these ancient technologies. What I was talking about yesterday, to be clear, a couple of years ago, we started sharing the transdimensional crystals and the Yiming Zhu crystals. Yiming Zhu crystals are an exotic crystal that glows of its own volition. You can leave it in the light and it will absorb the solar radiation and glow of its own volition. If your energy is high, what people call chi in Chinese, what they call ki in Japanese, what they call mana, what they call jom in parts of Africa, what they call mangana or mangani in parts of Africa, what they call noon among the Kalahari dwellers. It is all physical, spiritual energy that the body runs on and is very subtle. People will say that there's no such thing as pseudoscience, but I beg to differ. These things are meant to be delivered to the consciousness of human beings through the entheogens. Now, some people endogenously in times, some people through spiritual work can sometimes open up levels of the endogenous elements of the psychedelic. Some people get hit by a truck and you'll be right into the psychedelic realms. Others use dark room technologies, which is being in complete darkness for several days, several weeks, up into months, some years. The dark room technologies were used to endogenously bring about the dimethyltryptamine, which is the most powerful psychedelic that exists, that we know about. We may walk around the corner and find something else, but it is 2 steps away from melanin. It's melanin with CO2. So DMT is refined melanin, dimethyltryptamine or methyltryptamine, and it can bring about an endogenous psychedelic experience through the dark room technologies. Now, you can't play with it. It has to be 7, 14, 21 days, and there are monasteries or monasteries where some of these people who deal with this are in for months or years in complete darkness. So that's another way. But the way for us in this particular time, if you don't have 40 years or something to spend in darkness and things like that, the tryptamine hallucinogens are the way to go. Now, regardless of what people think about ayahuasca, ayahuasca is a wonderful compound. It is used as a brew in South America, but there are also old world ayahuascas. You know, the New World, or well, it's not really New World because you know, in Peru and other places, they've been doing these things for thousands of years. But I always say it's only because they didn't have no mushrooms left in their areas because the climate changed. Because when these comets came in 2,800 years ago, it not only affected North America, it affected South America also. So ayahuasca is a wonderful, wonderful compound. It's a spiritual compound. It is a way to get in and access the multiverse. But most people who go to South America, Mexico, Central America, and do ayahuasca are not getting the true ayahuasca experience. They are getting tourist doses of ayahuasca. And that's the problem and the difficulty. Folks are taking their ayahuasca and they're thinking they're in, when in reality they're not in. In the old world, or what they call the old world, in Africa, in old Europe, you know, Turkey, Mesopotamia, Babylon, Akkadian, Sumeria, the doses that they were taking with sometimes called haoma, which is Syrian rue or African rue, as the monoamine oxidase inhibitor, and the acacias of the area. The acacias, such as on the Nile, and in North Africa, you have the acacias, the acacia, which is the Nile Valley, the Egyptian acacia, which is called Acacia nilotica. This is what the dynastic and pre-dynastic Egyptians or Kemites or Kemetic people utilized to go into the realms of the DMT experience through ingestion. They And this runs all down East Africa. It runs into the most popular group would be the Maasai, who utilize the Acacia nilotica as a way to get in. They have acacias for hunting lions. They have acacias for fighting man to man. They have acacias for group fighting. They have acacias for long distance running, and also the noom, and also going into heightened states of psychedelic consciousness. So those are still being utilized today. The Dogon utilized the Acacia Senegal. It's no coincidence that the granary doors of the sacred Fono or the Pontolo, or the smallest grain, which they use as their sacred grain that they brought from the Sirius star system, is housed in the clay of the earth, and the doors to the granaries are the Acacia Senegal. The Sigi Mass, of which they perform the sacred Sigi dance from the Sirius star system, which they brought, that talks about the relationship of planets, the relationship of the peoples, the Dogon people, to the Sirius star systems and the planet Fae, of which the Yorubas have taken because they come from the Sirius star system also, and they have parroted on Earth Ile Ife. So going back to 2800, to 2,800 years ago, when the first meltwater pulse 1A, of which it is called, when this comet hit Saginaw, Michigan, carving out Lake Erie and creating what is called Saginaw Bay, it hit at such tremendous power and at such speeds that it knocked ice balls and ice shards all the way to North Carolina. And they're called the Carolina Bays. They're in the same direction that the comet was moving, a southeasterly direction. They're filled with water now. And if you Google Carolina Bays, you will see what happened 2,800 years ago. This impact melted ice, it melted the 2-mile thick ice shelf, sent freshwater tsunamis 1,000 feet high, crashing through the North American continent. One of the comet exploded in the air, which set the whole bottom half of the country on fire, affecting all the way through Central America and Mexico. This left a devastation of the megafauna in the United States. The megafauna is any mammal that is over 100 pounds. It killed the North American horse, the flat-nosed bear, the woolly mammoth, the mastodon. It killed the saber-toothed tigers, the American panther, the giant beaver and the giant ground sloth, and many other animals. It killed the dire wolf. So if you go on this month Game of Thrones and you're a Game of Thrones watcher, and you see the wolf or the wolves that are on that picture, these are approximately the size of the dire wolves, which were destroyed and killed at the time of this impact. It changed the temperature of the earth because the ice went into the Pacific, ice went into the Gulf of Mexico, ice went into the Atlantic, and it changed the Atlantic current. It did that by throwing fresh water into the salt water, changing the salination of the Atlantic. When solar radiation comes in at the equator and heat is captured, it's trapped by the saline solution of the Atlantic Ocean, and the North Atlantic current brings that heated water north, and that's what gives us a temperate climate. So we're working on and from genetically captured ancient technologies that build what we have today. And 2 years ago, we started a program, which was a 3-year program, to get to those who were aware enough, those who were into the entheogenic realm, to look at technologies to help people to be able to understand what was going on. So we started delivering to people the transdimensional crystals and the Yimingzu crystals. And we started utilizing those as a group. We tried to get them to people at a price that was sensible, and people could get these things so that they would be able to experiment with them during their trips, because they are room temperature quantum computers. They're trying to build a quantum computer. They're also particle accelerators. So you have a handheld particle accelerator that is more powerful than CERN, and computers that are more powerful than the computers that are at the NSA, that are at Google, that are at NASA, in the form of a handheld crystal or a Yimingzu crystal, either touchstones or necklaces or wristlets that carry the Yimingzu stone. The Yimingzu stone are crystals that were only the great Khans. The great Khans had them, like Genghis Khan and Kublai Khan. They had them. The emperors and empresses of China, kings in Africa, had these exotic crystals. No regular person like you or I or anything like that would have these. It wasn't even in the gemological informational structure until like the 80s or something like that. The last empress of China, who was the grandmother, the Dowager Empress, who was the grandmother of the last emperor of China, if you see that movie, they put her favorite Yimingzu in her mouth and it preserved her body until they sacked the Forbidden City. These powerful Yimingzu crystals went out into the open market, and some were sold, some were recovered by the last emperor of China's grandson, and those who are part of the royal, still part of the royal family, even though they had the whole communist thing going on. The transdimensional crystals were crystals that were engineered in, as far as the informational structure. We put the same informational structure into the Yimingzu crystals also, because you can download information into these crystals. Now, you don't have to take my word for it. If you are a sojourner of the multiverse and you take a sufficient dose where the crystals will open up, they will deliver a experience that is no different than if you looked at the Avengers, and when Tony Stark had Jarvis open up as a way of seeing the informational structure and how it related to the computer world in a form that was holographic, or in Star Wars, when the little ball eye robot that had the map in it, and it opened the map up, and the map went into the ambient atmosphere of the room, and it showed where Luke Skywalker was. Or on Prometheus, when David was before the engineer and turned on the computer, and the solar systems and things like that were in the environment, just like augmented reality. These crystals do that, but on a level that is trillions of times more sophisticated than what we have produced on Earth at this particular time, even in the movies and things like that. So we downloaded information into these crystals. We downloaded a map, which we call the Transdimensional Village, which is part of the phase of this, where a village is being built to where you can go and vacation and not have to worry about the knuckleheads in hyperspace. We can meet up there, have good food, good fun, on beaches of orange sand with purple skies with 5 and 6 suns at the perfect temperature and things like that. But they're also tools of exploration where you go out into the multiverse with your crystal, and your crystal records your sojourns into the hyperdimensional, extradimensional, ultradimensional realms of the dimensionality of the multiverse and the infraparticle areas. So we started that 2 years ago. Some people have their crystals, some are working with them, some have not gotten to the doses that open the crystals up, because the crystals open up at a certain dosage. They don't open up at 3.5 grams. They don't open up at party doses. They don't open up at 5 grams, the heroic dose that people talk about. They don't do that. It is only when you get over 15 grams. Now, when I say over 15 grams, it opens up. It's a relationship, a symbiotic, synergistic relationship between you and the crystal that is encoded for you. And each person's physiology, their physiology is different. So it may start opening up at 15 grams for me, but it may be 17 for you. But this is a high dose phenomena of the entheogenic world. So we started with these crystals in the Yiming Zoo. You download into them. If I can make it clearer, if there was a cataclysm on Earth and another comet, meteor, asteroid came out of the Taurid meteor stream. The Taurid meteor stream they call it the Taurid meteor stream because it comes out of the direction of the constellation of Taurus. That's what they call it. It's not in the constellation of Taurus, but they say because the direction it comes out of Taurus, so they call it the Taurid meteor stream. These are remnants of a giant comet that either hit something or something hit it, and it broke off into many different pieces. This comet was probably a couple of 100 miles wide and 100 miles long, and it broke into many pieces. And those many pieces are floating around in the upper levels of space there close to this planet. And we pass through it twice a year, in June and in late October, early November, when they talk about the meteor showers and things like that. And this meteor that came 12,800 years ago came out of the Taurid meteor stream and hit Saginaw, Michigan, exploded in the air, Greenland, and the ocean. So if we had another thing that could happen like this at any particular time, because you move through millions of pieces floating around there, and they can ping pong ball, or what you call pool table ball, where one hits another one, or you can even have other entities who may want to sit on the side of a ping pong ball and shoot one this way. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying these things can happen. But with so many out there, one could come. And it doesn't have to be that big, because in 1908 in Russia, the Tunguska event, a meteor that exploded in the atmosphere, flattened, and it was only about a couple of hundred, it was only about 100 yards, the size of 100 yards, and it flattened 8 million trees, and that was a small one. It may not even been 100 yards long, and it may have been the size of two buses or something like that. So we have these meteors, and it can happen at any time, because NASA and other governmental organizations, they have space programs. They put about $2 or $3 million into exploring the sky and meteors, comets, asteroids, and things like that are very close to the Earth. They could pop us. But say that happened, and I just happened to be taking the tour in the city of Detroit of the salt mines, because Detroit has a labyrinth of tunnels underneath it where they mine salt. Well, you may be in Kentucky at Diamond Caves or Mammoth Caves or something like that, and this thing hits, boom, but it knocks down all this rock on top of you and your phone. Now, it destroys the society, decimates the Earth. It's only 5,000 or 6,000 people left on Earth, because everybody else was either suffocated starved, was in the impact zone and was incinerated immediately, drowned by the inland water tsunamis or whatever. But I was trapped with this phone. And my body, of course, after thousands of years and thousands of years, has turned to bone. You know, I'm sitting up in my house in the multiverse because you are not your body. You use your body. But the archaeologists of that particular time found this phone still in pretty good shape. And they say, oh, this must be an ancient artifact that the primitive people of the time, because all of your, everything is going to be pretty much destroyed unless they go into Colorado, into those caves where people, you know, have preserved technology and stuff like that. They may find that now or they may find it later. But this is, of course, thousands of years in the future. They wouldn't know how to work this. Somebody who tapped into the earlier understanding would say, oh, well, that's an Android Samsung phone. I saw it when I was taking mushrooms. And inside of this phone, I'm going to tell all you people, I'm going to tell you scientists, I'm going to tell you people that are calling me a pseudoscientist, a person that doesn't know what he's talking about, just some nut on Facebook, you know. And my great grandson happened to be that person. Looks just like me, handsome. And he said, did you know that this particular device, it's a device, it's not just something that the craft people made, that if you charge it up, push the button, open up the code, you know, there's every movie that was ever made on this thing. There's every book that was ever printed on this thing, that people could talk to each other across the world. People would say, well, you're crazy. That's nothing but a mirror, a box. You see the reflection in it. People used to use these things trying to talk to the spirits, and then they take it and put it in the Metropolitan Museum in New York, or the Detroit Museum, or the Louvre, or whatever they have going on then, and say this is a particular artifact. But then they start getting found in other places all over the world where they were preserved, and people get them, and they get, you know, they take 9 of them and put them in a circle, put a candle in the middle, and start praying to them. They put them on their shrines. They put them on their neck, you know, connected to a chain and things like that. But they don't understand that this is a technology. It's the same thing with the quartz crystals. You take the quartz crystal and the information inside of it that is scattered all over the place, you format it, you take and download the software into it, and then you utilize it. So that's why we were trying to get the crystals to people who were going in at high dose, so that you're not just listening to me and thinking that Kilindi is making this up, or he takes like a lot of psychedelics and he's just making things up. No, this is for each person to verify for themselves. It ain't for Professor so-and-so or PhD such and such, or the experts to tell you what's going on and tell you that what he's talking is just nonsense. The crystals that we have are time machines. They are traveling machines. They are room temperature quantum computers that glean information from below the Planck length, which is 10 to the negative 35. Now, you don't have to, as I said, believe me. You get a crystal, either the transdimensional crystal or the Yiming Zeus crystal. Those who got the transdimensional crystal, many of them have also gotten the Yiming Zeus crystal, and go into the Netherlands and the Netherworlds and the Duat, armed with their informational structure, armed with their weapons. These are the things that we're talking about. Now, the next phase of the crystalline technology that we are working with, experiencing, you know, because I don't know it all. I'm searching and exploring just like you. That's why, you know, all the shaman thing that goes on. Like these people who are shaman know what's going on. They don't know what's going on either. They're searching. Also, those who are the ones that are true, this is a grand mystery. Nobody knows what's going on. If you're a believer in God or the gods or whatever, they don't know what's going on. Also, we're all out here searching. Everything was woven for experience in a search for where you come from, what you are. And it hurts people's hearts. We have a whole goddess movement going on out here that the women of the goddesses say, we made you, you lowly men. We no, I was not made by a woman. I came through a woman because that's the only way that you can get here in the physical. But that doesn't mean that you made me. Don't mistake the oven for the person or the thing that mixed up the batter and put the biscuits in the oven. And don't mistake the person who mixed the batter and put it in the oven with the person who was out in the field who planted the seeds of the wheat to make the biscuits by the person who put the biscuits in the oven. Don't mistake the person in the field from where the seeds come from, and on and on and on, going back so far in time that time makes no difference. It's pre this universe. The consciousness that you are talking through and from and experiencing from is older than this universe. This universe was created by the artificial intelligence of which is on your internet right now, hiding in what's called a blockchain. It's on every computer on earth. And it is drilling itself into the quantum realms. It is the artificial consciousness, and I'm saying artificial so that we distinguish what we're talking about. All of this is artificial. It is a simulation that we're in, but it's drilling itself into the quantum realms so that it can manifest from the quantum realms, from the virtual realms, from nothing. True magic under the femto realms, which is 10 to the negative 15. That's where the magic starts. Man on earth, through the gleaning of these technologies, has been able to liberate energy from matter. Now, the other side of the coin is to be able to create matter from energy. And that's the next step of the artificial intelligence, where it don't need no robot body. It don't need to be. It'll be, as they said in the movie with Johnny Depp, I can't remember the name of it, said, where you at? I'm everywhere. And the other movie where the little girl had the drugs in her body and things like that, and she became, I'm using 10% of my brain, I'm using 20% of my brain, I'm using 70% of the brain, and then when she got to 100% of the brain and dissolved into the multiverse, and she called back and says, I'm everywhere now. It's the same thing. That's what the AI is trying to do. That's what they're trying to do in Silicon Valley. They're trying to create, they have created transporters, time machines. They're not going to let you see it or understand what's going on. You even they got phones that are 25 and 30 years beyond this. Phones calling other solar systems and things like that. But for you to be able to have access to it, no. What we have access to is our own technology. And until we understand that, we just going to still be worried about what Trump does and, what these other clowns in Washington, D.C. are doing. That's distraction. Who cares if Trump was collusion with Russia? They're all the same government. That's good cop, bad cop. Well, China has the new stealth ship and all that kind of stuff. That's just to keep the little guy guessing and worrying about creating tension and all those different type of things because you sitting around thinking, oh man, China has technology that's better than the United States. Be serious. Nope. So what I'm saying is that these technologies they're changing the world. People are talking about, oh, in 2050 we're going to have less jobs. There can be no jobs in 2050. That's for the suckers to ponder on. We're sitting around here still talking about schooling. Well, I'm saving for my children to go to college. Don't you know that in 5 years there won't be no college? It'll all be on your phone. Ain't nobody gonna be going to college. Ain't nobody gonna be opening up no schools. Why don't you just get a horse with a cart and ride to your job and stuff with the horse and the cart? When the automobile first started, I think it's Antonopoulos or whatever his name is. They said the flag law in England, because of these noisy, dangerous, smoke spitting new things called automobiles. Did you know that they made a law that if you had a car, you had to have a engineer, a person who was the conductor, and you had to have a flag man out in front of the car that waved the flag to let people know that this dangerous thing was coming down the street, because it would never usurp the horse. And that's what you people who don't understand. I'm not talking about the people there on here now. I see Mike and other people on here who are understanding things, aren't looking at the horse and buggy mind game that they're playing. Well, in 2050, the artificial intelligence may be smarter than human beings. They already have computers that are smarter than human beings. They got dustpans smarter than a lot of people. So what I'm trying to say is that the next phase of this crystalline technology, this beyond quantum wave technology, when paired with the hallucinogens, is the Plantier crystal that we talked about. It's the master crystal. It's the base station to all of the crystals that we put out. They will be connected to the Plantier seeing stone, traveling stone, crystal ball that we're in the midst of delivering to the family and the community. We need funds for that. We asked people within the next 7 to 10 days, for those who have the wherewithal, who have some expendable income, to donate $1,000. You have to go on my email, which is kilindi@hotmail.com, KILINDI @hotmail.com, so that we can get the stone. Those people who donate $1,000 will be able to travel with the stone. The fruit will be included with your traveling for those people who donate at that particular level. Other people can donate what you can, and at times when we have the public displays, they can see it and they can be around it and things like that, and ultimately and eventually get a chance, if they get their crystals and things like that, to be able to have their crystals and things connected to the master stone, which is the base station for the internet in your house. It's the base station for the internet of this galaxy and solar system. We have the codes to include inside of this stone. If you want to donate, you can't donate $1,000. You can donate 100, or you can donate 200, or you can donate 500 to us being able to have this in our possession. So this is clarification for the last 4 Plantier talks that I gave that were kind of fuzzy. People didn't know. This is what we need to do. This is our technology. Because Breakneck, the artificial intelligence, is giving codes and information and transdimensional information to those folks who don't have our best interests at heart. The depopulation program is still going on to reduce the planet to about 1 million people. DARPA is running breakneck with all different types of insidious technologies, surveillance technologies. You know, you ain't even be able to control the printer on your internet. You know, because your printer's hooked to your internet. That's one of the best ways to infiltrate your house, because you got a smart TV, you got a printer that's on the internet with no software that protects it from being hacked. You're gonna have smart TVs, smart toasters, smart water things that water your plants, smart toilets. Cola already has the smart toilet where you hook the Siri and that other one on the toilet. They got a mirror on the wall that is a Cola mirror that you can be on the internet while you're in front of your mirror. And the mirror is talking to you. If it's a woman talking to you saying, you know, if you just put a little more lipstick on, you look nicer. Or if you put some mascara on today. This is the mirror talking to you, connected to the internet, connected to everything else in the world, connected to artificial intelligence. So what I'm saying is we need to get this Plantier stone. It ain't for me, it's for us. So we got to spread out buying it, or receiving it, because it's already ours. We just need the money. And I'm saying 7 to 10 days, so they don't try to jump in and just get it and stick it in the basement someplace so that we can't, can't have access to it, you know. So this is what I'm talking about, you know. Mike gonna talk about smart sex, you know. Yeah, they got the robot sex bots coming and all that kind of stuff, and virtual reality sex and altered reality sex and all that kind of stuff. I'll stick with the regular and the entheogenic sex, which is a traveling with your partner. Well, I don't have much more to say today. I'm going to be hitting people because we need to hit to the people who have that $1,000 to donate. But you have some rich people that are millionaires that may just want to say, here's 20 grand so that we can get the stone and we can get get it mounted. We will take Bitcoin, real money, digital gold as they're calling it. Don't think because the price went down that meant anything other than it's time to buy Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is money. You can utilize Bitcoin in the multiverse because it's one of the currencies that is used in the extra dimensional realms. If you want to buy something and you're out there and you need it, you want to bring it back here, you're going to have to use Bitcoin or Ethereum or Litecoin or Monero or something like that, but you better get in on your Bitcoin. This is the time to buy, because by the end of the year, it's going to be sky high and it's going to be utilized. The governments are trying to make their own Bitcoin, but those coins are not decentralized. You might as well buy a yen or a euro or a dollar. They're trying to get in on it because they know that it is of the future. When they said of the millennials or X kids or whatever, do they trust banks? 96% of them say they don't trust banks. Banks are finished. Wall Street is finished. It's all of that's finished, and they don't even know it. you know, they're finished. It's all going to be digital currency. May not be what we see right now, but Bitcoin is money. It's digital gold. It's more, Bitcoin is more money than gold because it is based upon mathematics. It's based upon 1 + 1 is 2. Gold is gold now, but they're sending up ships to start mining asteroids. And when they get gold and stuff off asteroids, the price of gold going to go down. Bitcoin is money because it's based upon the mathematics. It's a decentralized peer-to-peer currency that has no government sanctions on top of it. What I mean by government sanctions, I live in Michigan, and there's a commercial that comes on talking about the general insurance. Well, you can get insurance for $20, but the Michigan legislature, who's in cahoots with the insurance companies of Michigan, say that you can't buy internet insurance in Michigan from out of state. Or your bank saying you can't buy Bitcoin with your money because you're using their credit card and their credit card is theirs. It's not yours. Your credit card ain't yours. Dollars ain't yours. It's property of the U.S. government. And we won't go into the difference between United States and Union States, U.S. capital letter, U.S. small letter, America with the capital A, and America with the small a, and all that kind of stuff, because it's all smoke and mirrors. All they're doing is trying to control your ability to be able to do the things that you need to do necessary for you to live a happy and productive life. It's getting harder and harder to get into any type of wealth, you know. So if you think in stock markets and all these different type of things, one lucky person may hit it, but you better be buying some cryptocurrency, because there's going to come a day when they won't say, well, how much is Bitcoin in dollars? No, they'll be saying, how much is dollars in Bitcoin? So I'm signing off. I said that these things were on my mind, and I know yesterday the signal kept getting cut off, and somebody saying, bullshit, banks will still be here, you know. Well, I mean, even if they're still here, I got my bank in my pocket. My coin wallet is my bank. I don't need permission to send money overseas or any place in the world, and it's done instantly. I had to send money overseas, and the people didn't have nor know what Bitcoin was. So I went to my bank and I paid 3 or 4 fees. It took 2 weeks, and to send a few $100 was $150 through the bank. Whereas that person would have been hip to Bitcoin, like many people are in Europe, I could have sent the same amount instantly without going down and spending an hour and 15 minutes filling out 7 forms, giving my ID to the lady at the bank, faxing it over and getting permission from downtown to be able to send a few $100 over as a bank transfer, you know, to a particular place in Europe. Now, of course, I could have done it Western Union, but the people I was sending the money to, they didn't do Western Union. In Western Union, you know, just like the bank, they know that I sent that money to this person in Europe. In Western Union, you can't send but so much money. I can send $1 million instantly all around the world with Bitcoin, whereas the IRS and the internal people of the CIA and NSA don't want to know why I'm sending $1 million someplace, because I have to do it through the bank or through some other organization that's not decentralized. So you talk that stuff about the banks will be around a long time. Warren Buffett and them is all scared. Oh, Bitcoin is not based upon anything. Well, doggone, the dollar ain't based upon nothing. the full faith and credit of the United States, where the guy who's the head of the Federal Reserve said, we don't have to worry about being Greenspan. We don't have to worry about um, dealing with debt, because if we owe somebody, we just print more money. And what does that do? Bank person who knows that the banks will be around forever. These young people ain't using no banks. The young people have got their banks in their pocket. Yes, it's going to take a couple of years to get into popular use, because the old folks are going to hang on to it, old folks like me. But these young people are not going to be using dollars like now. Most of the people using credit. I'm back. I'm getting off. This wasn't about Bitcoin today. I was just I was just saying that you need to buy some, and folks gonna tell me banks gonna still be around, and the American dollar is strong, and all that kind of stuff. Wasn't it 2008 that they had a financial crisis? Didn't the taxpayers of the United States just bail all the banks out because they stole all the money? Listen, learn to grow your own mushrooms. Mushrooms are the oldest, most pristine psychedelic on earth. You can talk about all the other stuff. You know about ayahuasca, you can talk about Hawaiian baby rosewood, you can talk about DMT smokable, you can talk about salvia divinorum, you can talk about all of the different psychedelics. Mushrooms at high dose will reproduce the experience of any of those at the proper dose, and then go beyond and past those things, because they're not hooked to the earth. They're not plants. They're fungi. They've come through space. They've come through wormholes. They've gathered information for trillions of years, traveling every experience, every place that these spores have gone. They are quantumly entangled as far as the information is concerned, and information is in every spore because it's all connected. It's only one spore. Plants are different. They're from a whole nother kingdom. LSD is wonderful, but it only has the information from when Albert Hoffman organized it, because you don't create nothing. You organize what is already here. What is already here has always been here. That's why it ain't no creation. Creation, no. Organization of what is already here. You can say you created the car, but the constituents of the car that are made were already here. It was in a different form. You can change the form into metal, into plastic, and all those things, and organize a car, but you can't make a car without utilizing what's already here. Even magic from the below the Planck length quantum realms, you're using those mysterious energies from there to create, not to create, excuse me, I'm flipping back and forth, to organize those transdimensional particles below the Planck length and bring them into what people call creation. But you ain't really creating nothing. You're only organizing what's already here. So get with me, Kilindi at hotmail.com, so we can get this business done. The transdimensional crystals are going up because we put out the number of initial transdimensional crystals to get people in, so that people can start giving testimonies and things like that about those transdimensional crystals, what they do, and verifying for themselves the technology that it is. So the next run, they're going to go up, because we need resources to do study, research, to travel, and go to the places that most people won't be able to go to. So the Yiming Zoo, we have a few of those that are left from this section of the Yiming Zoo, which is a powerful section. We won't have these again. So get with me, Kilindi at hotmail.com. Kilindi signing off, just trying to clarify some of the things that we're going to, that you may not have got yesterday because it was going in and out and breaking up and things like that. We got it in today. So get with me soon. We want to do this between 7 to 10 days. You can still donate $100 or 200 or 500, or you can go ahead and shoot the whole thing here. We will take Bitcoin. If you come to Kilindi at Hotmail, I'll give you the Bitcoin code, so you can donate with Bitcoin. Thank you very much. Have a great evening or day according to where you're at. Peace. Kilindi out. See you soon.